I'm guessing that's what we're after, the Primal Stone.
Robes. Robes are always a bad sign.
Hello and welcome to our Thief review from GamesRadar.com. I am Lorenzo Valoria and I've played through the game.
And I'm Ryan Teljanik, and I have also played through the game. But I'm going to ask you some questions, Lorenzo, because you're the one that reviewed it for us. To start with, tell me a little bit about Thief. What is your overall sense of the game? Did you like it? Did you kind of feel okay toward it? And what did you like about it?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was a good, solid stealth game. It's kind of a reboot of the series, so it starts... You're Garrett once again. For those who've played the Thief series before, he was the main character, and you play as him. And this is kind of a retelling of his story. So he doesn't have his special eye yet at the beginning of the game. And you're running around. The game starts. You're running around with your partner. You're on this heist, and things go wrong, and you have to figure out what happened to your partner throughout the game and why. This city that you kind of grew up in and it was kind of peaceful at the beginning has become this like dilapidated, plague-infested kind of there's a baron that's just real tyrannical and just ruling over everybody and downtrodden everybody, and you have to find out why, because you've been in this like
some sort of like a coma.
You've been asleep, basically.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a coma thing. You don't even really find out. That's one of the issues with the game is the story is a little bit confusing. Just going chapter to chapter, you're not exactly sure why you're taking these heists, and you're not exactly sure what the motivations behind all the characters really are until the very end. But it doesn't really string you along very well, so you're not really like captivated by the story.
So disjointed story aside, one of the things that people loved about the original Thief series was its emphasis on stealth. I mean, this is a franchise built on primarily stealth-based gameplay. So how does that work in this new Thief?
Yeah, so the stealth is still there. This is pretty much the most like pure stealth game that I've played. There's been the Dishonored's and Splinter Cell out there that has a lot of action components. But Thief is really just about sneaking through the shadows, using your gadgets to put out lights, using distractions and all your different kinds of arrows that you could get, much like the traditional game.
Sure.
So you'll be, sneaking around. There's treasure everywhere. So, there's risks in just like going out and trying to grab those while they're in the light, while there's patrolling guards and stuff. So, there's a lot of fun in that. Getting all that treasure in throughout the level is just so addictive. I love doing that. And there's little elements where you'll be walking by a window and you'll hear a conversation going on in this apartment, and just people will be talking about, I left my grandmother's wedding ring in this box in the dresser, and you could go and into a certain apartment, go to that box and find this really valuable ring. And there's little things like that that are really cool. And then there's bigger heist situations where you could sneak into a jewelry store and steal a special mask, and you get special loot by unlocking this safe by finding a combination in notes and stuff around the environment. So there's a lot of cool exploration in that aspect, and finding all those big pieces of loot is really cool.
Now that loot that you're getting, obviously you're taking it because you are Garrett the Master Thief.
Right.
But does it have any purpose? And what do you, tell me a little bit about, I guess, like kind of the powering up system and all that stuff.
So you can upgrade Garrett. I didn't really find much use for it because you're really just skulking around in the shadows, and you could upgrade your boots to make yourself more silent, or you could buy new equipment that will let you access different parts of like a level. Like you could get this wrench that will let you open grates, so you could sneak through vents and stuff like that. But you don't really need the upgrades. Like there's combat upgrades, and we could talk about this in a little bit, but the combat's kind of weak, so I'd never found a reason to upgrade my armor, upgrade my weapons, and it seemed a little bit pointless, just because there's that lack of the additional gameplay elements beside the stealth stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the combat, because I think a game that a lot of people will start to compare this to is Dishonored, and so how does if you are like actually trying to fight guards, how does that kind of play out?
It's very boring. To say it plainly, the combat when you're going toe to toe with a guard, you could really only do two things during the combat, and that's dodge and do this weak attack with your little club. But that's really all there is to it, and you can do a little finishing move after you damage him. And the point with Thief is that he's a thief. He's not a warrior. He's not like the Dishonored guy where he'll chop your head off and stuff. Right. He even says plainly in the beginning he doesn't want to kill people. So the combat is really downplayed, but it's downplayed to the point where if you're in it, it's really boring. And I figure the developers could have done something to make it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, there was a lot of times where I found myself in the combat, and I would, rather than even finish a fight, I would just reload to my last checkpoint. Like, I just had no interest in it at all either.
Yeah, you just want to avoid it. You want to stick to the shadows. This is a purely stealth game. You don't want to... I didn't even really find myself bashing, doing a stealth knockout. You could go up and sneak up behind someone, bash them in the head, and then they're just out for the rest of the level. But it's really, they stick to the stealth. You want to be a stealthy guy.
Great. And now you and I both experienced a surprising amount of audio bugs. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the bugs are prevalent. They were for me at least. Like I mentioned before, you could walk by an apartment and you'll hear two people talking about treasure, and occasionally that dialogue would loop even after I had gone 100 feet from that location, and it would just keep on looping, and it would just get really annoying. There was a situation where you go inside a brothel and there was some inappropriate conversations going on, and that ended up looping, which was very distracting.
To hear that playing out on your TV over and over again.
Yeah, and there's been times where there's an in-game cutscene and you can't really hear one person's dialogue while you hear another guy's dialogue, so you only get half of the conversation sometimes. Yeah. So you miss some story points. I didn't find that it was like really detrimental to the entire experience, but it was obnoxious at some time.
All right, so tell me a little bit about the optional modes in the game.
So there's the main mode that takes you through about a 12 to 15 hour main campaign story. And there's side quests that will expand that time like pretty significantly, because each side quest will take you a little while. You need to go find an NPC in the city, talk to them, and then find out what they want and go get it. And you'll get paid for it. So which is really cool. The side quests I enjoyed much more than the main storyline. It was just kind of neat to see more of the citizens of the city and how they act, and their stories were actually pretty cool. And then outside of the main game is a challenge mode, which it'll bring you back to the main locations within the main game, but there's different challenges like time trials where you have to go and pick up as much loot as you can, so that you create chains and you try to build up this score, and there's leaderboards and that kind of thing. Then there is another mode where you find special loot. So you have like 5 minutes to find 20 pieces of special loot within the environment. And that was pretty cool because you just kind of jump all over the environment while you're avoiding guards and, collecting all the small pieces of loot to build your score and stuff. So the challenge modes and the side quests are really a strong point in the game. It really, was a lot of fun just to have more thievery in the game.
Gotcha. So overall, what'd you think about the game, and what'd you end up scoring it?
Thief is a really good stealth game, real traditional. If you're looking for a stealth game that's just all sneaking around, not a lot of combat, you're never going to kill anybody, this is the game for you. I really enjoyed it, aside from the quirky main story. And I gave Thief a 3.5 out of 5. And if you want to read the full review, check out GamesRadar.com, and be sure to like, subscribe, and do all those awesome YouTube things below. And thanks a lot for watching.